to a special edition of the Toss Up. I'm Neil Hoy, your host. It's the Super Bowl edition. The Super Bowl is coming up this Sunday. We have the New England Patriots versus the Seattle Seahawks.
And not the Packers.
And not Justin Marvel's Packers, Justin said I did people.
I'd rather not. Good night.
I have Marc Moore.
What's up?
He reps the Eagles.
I does.
And I rep, as you can see.
Lost cause.
Yeah, nothing to do with it. Right, so tonight, as I said, we are doing a special taping for the Super Bowl. It's coming up. We're going to do one after the Super Bowl as well. Yeah. So, we just want to talk about the road to get here. And we also want to give our insight into the actual game as well as any predictions for scores, stuff like that. So, let me start with Justin. Unfortunately, we can start with that NFC.
America,
NFC game, that championship
a
few weeks ago.
Right?
Yes, where the Packers had it by halftime. They were at 16-0.
19-7 with less than 5 minutes to go.
And then what happened, Justin? What happened?
Oh God. Where to start? As I talked to you earlier, with Neil, Mike McCarthy is I love Mike McCarthy to death. I don't think he's credited enough as one of the great offensive minds in the sport.
Right.
However, there's this one tragic flaw when he gets to games with what he thinks is a healthy lead with minutes left. He gets very vanilla, and by vanilla I mean very predictable. He's going to run the football,
right,
so as not to stop the clock.
Which usually is a good strategy.
Avoid turnovers, etc.
etc.
So that was error number one. There was too much time left, and we didn't garner any first downs in those last 5 minutes for that simplicity. Second, Marshawn Lynch, many they say it, talk about Adrian Peterson.
He's beast mode literally.
I honestly think that Marshawn Lynch is the best running back in the NFL simply because he's not the best dual threat, but he's good enough to run the backfield. But mostly because if there's one back in the NFL you cannot tackle with one defender, it's him.
One of two. Gore in 49ers, he's pretty big as well.
But I mean, he is the most impossible back to take down. And yes, we did it for 55 minutes, but that wears on you. So as I saw 19-7, I knew they were going to score again because Marshawn Lynch is going to get his yards, he's going to terrorize us. So obviously you were down as the game went on. But there are some plays, like as I was telling a friend, like one of 5 plays had to go right for Seattle. One of them being that 3rd and 18, they're Doug Baldwin extending the drive with a 22-yard catch. Finding some space in the zone prevent, don't know how he got it, which led to the first of 2 scores. The onside kick now, which a lot of people pinned on the loss. Brandon Boston not doing his job.
Plain and simple.
And the onside kick, as well as the scrum it's still an organised scrum. So you have everybody has a role. Bigger tight ends whose hands aren't as good as the other skilled position players. They're supposed to block the oncoming players to free space for defensive backs and wide receivers who can catch the ball properly. Brandon Boston's role was the former, which is to block. And if you see the video, Jordy Nelson's right next to him, which would have clear space to catch the ball. Unfortunately, Brandon went to make a play on the ball, slid through his hands and his helmet. Yeah. You know the rest is history. They score on that possession and take the lead. Even in taking that lead, then they still have another thing that has to go their way, a 2-point conversion that have to be successful to make sure that a field goal doesn't beat them.
Right.
We chased Russell Wilson out the pocket, which usually isn't a smart idea, but we got him scrambling left to right. Toss up a Hail Mary, another one of those, and it ends up in the hand of Wilson at the edge of the
no referee this time.
touchdown. Well, sorry, successful 2-point conversion. We still score, but then you know what the rest happens. Yeah. Finally, Curse catches the ball. Finally in the game, and that's the game.
If he can make a catch, that's the right time to make a catch.
And he was on all 4 of Russell Wilson's previous interceptions. He was targeted on every one of them.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that. Anyhow, we're gonna move on.
I am.
Yeah. It'll take time though. Moving on to the AFC. New England Patriots versus the Indianapolis Colts.
That was the complete opposite of that. Once the Patriots got rolling,
methodical,
surgical even.
Yeah. But most importantly, out of that, we may not be able to discuss the actual game itself, but the repercussions that came out of that game, which is deflate gate.
We touched upon it in the podcast from Friday.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I don't know if it really made that much of a difference
In
because it
actual
was
game.
like it was surgical. Like Tom Brady came out and said, "Oh, okay, he's new." Oh,
And Bill coached a great game.
Billy did, and you know, I think although Peyton may have moved on, he still sees the Colts as
His team.
his nemesis.
Mhm.
Like, or
I don't
like,
think that's much of a nemesis. I think more so a punching bag.
well, nemesis, punching bag, you know what I mean. But it's always
Yeah.
the AFC for years while Peyton was there. It boiled down to one or two of them. Usually, New England will come out on top. So I think it was just more of a, oh, is he Colts? Well, here, well, let me go to work. Let me time to operate and do what he had to do. The deflate gate, I don't really think that made a difference. It wasn't a close game where
So,
one or two balls could have gone a different way, but
so you don't think it necessarily had an impact in the game? But let me ask you this though, when it comes to Deflategate, you know that they're saying, because I didn't even know this. I thought it was like the NBA where you got one ball, you know, the captains would come, the referees would come and stuff. I thought for the NFL you get like a couple balls as well. One team would get one, the other team would get one because they know, you know, because it's a very quarterback. Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that's how it went, but actually teams get balls, like 12 balls,
you
right?
Pick 12 balls.
Ironically, it's the same Tom Brady and Peyton Manning who got that rule changed.
Yeah.
Where because apparently Tom used to get nightmares before games thinking what sort of ball he's gonna get.
Yeah.
Because
That can affect
he
everything.
seems to, he and Peyton exceptionally, they seem to hate the newer balls that are more slicker and stuff, so less grip.
Right.
Even though their hands are very big, but you
Yeah.
know, so they pushed for where each team would get 12 balls beforehand and they'd get to scuff them up and
Bring them in.
break them into their specifications.
Right. But what I really want to ask, Marc, especially,
Yeah.
right? Speaking on Deflategate, the teams, so it's a situation where Patriots have their
12 balls on it.
were inflating and stuff like that. Do you think it's a situation where, I mean, you said it earlier, but I mean, in the NFL obviously doing their investigation or almost conclude their investigation, do you think it's something that they would say, okay, you use this to get an unfair advantage? As you said, it turned out to be a lopsided victory. Do you think in any way that the ball would have had such an influence in it? Do you think that even with proper regulation balls, they would have won?
Given the relative ease, I would have to say, I would probably say they would still have won. May not have been, who knows, if it was a clear night, the game may have been different. Because remember, it was raining cats and dogs that game, so it was like, it virtually a mud fest.
Right.
So who knows, different weather conditions, if the game would have been different. My thing about it is, what's going to happen? Because, yes, in this game, it may not have been that big of a outcome.
Mhm.
May not have that big deal on the outcome. But if you're following the letter of the land, the law of the land, they have on the inflated balls. And as far as you said, when they read up on this, they pick the 12 before the game starts. They scuff them up, break them in, however long before the game, and then they're taken. The refs come and look and say they're taken, and they put them away. These are the game balls, and nobody gets them.
Right.
So again, in reading, there's no real scientific way to know. They don't come and measure the PSI. They don't do anything. So it could have been a case where not trying to cast negative light on it, but that could have been something they've been doing since this rule was implemented.
Yeah.
So until they come up with a scientific way to do it, I think you may get it. There'll be more on the lookout for it now, but I think this may have been. I just think it was a case where this is the one time that because there's no scientific way it got called out.
Do you think it's cheating?
But you broke the rule. You broke the rule. Like they give you a minimum PSI. You're under it. Whether your quarterback prefers it that way or not, there's a rule for a reason.
The reason why I asked is because, you know, a lot of people were saying that, you know, this is something that happens all the time. You have practice balls, they have, you know, various balls that the quarterbacks like to warm up with on the sideline, stuff like that. So obviously, deflating balls, this isn't anything new to the sport. So anyhow, moving on.
I don't want, before we go though, just remember, the reason I agree with Marc is cheating, yes, in the strictest sense, but did it have a serious impact? No. Because remember now, the balls that Tom and company would have put into the game, only their offense handled those balls. The Colts have their own balls that go into their game by their offense.
Right.
So it is not as if, let's say per se, those balls affected Indianapolis offense or anything like that, or you can say that had a negative effect on their defense.
Mm-hmm.
The only real thing is Tom, the center, there, the people handling balls, and obviously receivers.
Right.
Does it give them an advantage? Maybe because it was, as Marc says, a rain like easier
Easier
for
to Easier to
Brandon
throw and
LaFell,
catch.
Julian Edelman, Gronk to catch, easier to handle, etc., etc. By the end of the day, Indianapolis' balls are broken in how they want balls broken in. So is there a major advantage? I can't say. But yes, I have to, in the strictest sense, it's not they are cheating.
Alright, let me ask you this though, Justin, let's have some fun. You're the commissioner of the NFL for next 2 weeks.
Oh boy.
So hold on to your hats. Right? And it has been found that the New England Patriots are guilty of this infraction. Whomever in their organization decided to take it upon themselves to deflate balls, whether it came up from high or down low, something was sent as the equipment manager. What would you do in terms of penalties if, well, there are two obvious outcomes that happen in the next 2 weeks. One, the New England Patriots could be champions, Super Bowl champions, or they couldn't be. But what if it's a situation where they are Super Bowl champions? What would you do in terms of penalizing them? And then if they're not, just give me a run of the mill.
Well, that scenario is not going to play out. For the simple fact that this investigation could take days. I mean, it should only take a couple of days.
Yeah.
But this investigation will not come to fruition until a couple of months down the road. That's what's serious.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl is the showcase of the NFL and showcase of the entire American sporting world.
Correct.
You will not have, as much as the deflate game has already over, cast a somewhat of a shadow on the Super Bowl. You're not going to take it any further by bringing up any evidence or any evidence that would suggest that New England gained an unfair advantage to get to that point. So whatever conclusions or findings that they come to will come down the road, down the road.
Yeah.
It won't come just before draft. I can tell you that because the draft day is also a huge event for NFL.
Yeah.
So it won't come out around that time, but nor will it come out anytime before the Super Bowl or anytime directly after. So in terms of penalties, I'm already seeing articles where equipment, not equipment manager, some lower level employee is almost about to take a hit.
Yeah.
You honestly,
He's well paid.
Yeah.
You honestly
He's
don't
well
say.
paid.
I mean, first thing first, Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick will avoid fines because they probably had nothing to do with it.
True.
Because it's to the quarterbacks lately. And I'm not a huge Bill Belichick fan. I think he's one of the great coaches of our time. But personally, I'm not a fan of his. But I think he was actually telling the truth when he said this week is the first time he found out all of this of how quarterbacks deal with balls and how. I don't think he actually knows anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't know, by extension, Robert Kraft has no idea.
Right.
The only person that would know really is Tom Brady, the center, and whoever ball boys know how Tom likes the ball. For Tom to tell me he does not know, though, that is flat out lying. That's flat out.
I mean, I saw his interview and it was just.
He knows.
I'm not a lay expert or whatever, but.
He knows.
He knows, yeah.
If there's one person that has to know what has happened in footballs or how exactly these footballs are, as Tom said, his balls are perfect. He didn't say they were inflated properly, he said they were perfect. And perfect for him.
Right. Well, the New England Patriots, they have a checkered history of bending the rules.
They
so slim.
Right. So I mean, I think it will tarnish their legacy. To be honest, I mean, Bill Belichick, because Bill has won. I talk like the man. But Bill Belichick, he's won the most playoff games in NFL history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, yeah. So
you mean as a combination?
Yeah. So it's a situation where their legacy. I mean, they can obviously make the Hall. They can obviously be one of the greatest, especially Tom Brady in terms of quarterback. But do you think it would tarnish their legacy in any bit?
I don't think so.
It depends. As I said, it depends on what the NFL finds. Because we're as I said, I read Billy came today, and he was correct. Like we're jumping too early because what if the NFL doesn't find Tom Brady guilty of anything? It won't. It just be a footnote. Like take for instance, Michael Jordan retired at 10 baseball. That's like a asterisk in his career. It's a
footnote.
So 10, 20 years from now, we look down the road, it's going to be an asterisk in his career.
All right, well, we're moving on from there. We gotta talk the big game. The big game is Sunday, fellas. We gotta get hyped. You know what I mean?
Seriously.
Well, sorry, dog. The rest of us should get hyped. I mean, these two teams, the Patriots versus Seahawks, right? No, they're playing on Sunday. I need what are the keys for each team? Let's go. I can go with Justin for. No, I don't want to give you Seahawks though.
You give me Seahawks. Well, you can give me Patriots. You can take Patriots.
You take Patriots. I give you the Seahawks. What are the keys for the Patriots to be successful on Sunday?
Containing Russell Wilson. The best player on that offense still is Marshawn Lynch, but everything thrives on containing Russell Wilson and keeping him within pocket. I think if one thing the Packers game did show, I think Don Capers gave the blueprint on how to at least study that offense. And in all phases, the least you can keep the box is 8. Ideally, you really want 9 in the box. And the reason for that being, you have to account for 2 men taking off and not one, as I said, going back to Russell Wilson. You have to have as many people possible around with Marshawn Lynch. But again, the danger of Russell Wilson leaving the pocket is so real. Going back to what Don Capers did, if you watch the game, we don't tend to play a lot of man because we try to avoid having our backs turned to the basket, to the football,
Right.
to avoid penalties. So we play a lot of zone, so everybody's faced up to the line of scrimmage and see the football.
Right.
In his concept now, what happens against the Seahawks, what we did at the middle tier, which is where Clay Matthews linebacker level now, right behind the front four, you had Clay Matthews and a free safety. At that time, mostly it was Clinton Dix.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are assigned a particular area of the field. So I'm standing left, I have the left side of the field. Clinton Dix was to the right. When Russell Wilson or whichever goes, say no Marshawn Lynch leaves the field with the ball or as a potential receiver option, that person, that area of the field that he goes, shifts off to him. But that other person, either the linebacker or the safety, does not go after the quarterback. Do not rush.
Right.
You keep your eyes on him all the time. And the thing is, you need an athletic person who is strong that can go as very fast going side to side. And that's basically in Clay Matthews and Clinton Dix. The formula here, the most important person to this game, I think defensively is going to be Jamie Collins. I think he's the person that's going to have to stay in and keep his eyes on Russell Wilson, because if you over pursue, playing him like a normal quarterback and chase down, when he breaks the plane, you need somebody that has that side to side movement that can keep up with him, because he is very, 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 very fast.
Yeah.
It means then that you have to stay with your laser, your pass rush. You have to be extremely disciplined.
Yeah.
The only issue is that Patriots play a very different way, because they have terrific man-to-man corners on the outside in Brandon Bona and Darrell Revis. They're going to play a lot more man. Their backs will be turned to the ball, which means you have to have more of the people rushing, keeping the eyes straight ahead going on. Jamie Collins probably then won't be playing the zone in that middle of the field. He is going to probably assigned as the spy, a man spy, and his discipline to keep Russell Wilson inside the pocket, keeping his eyes on him at all times, and not over pursuing and going after sacks,
Right.
is going to be, I think, the key in this game.
Okay. And well, that was a lot of defense, but offensively, I mean, is there anything? Go ahead.
Run the ball. Everybody knows the Legion of Boom. They're going to match up man on man. Cam Chancellor, he's going to be box. It's going to be Richard Sherman on primarily on their right side,
Right.
and their other corner on the left side. They bring Cam Chancellor in the box as almost a linebacker role to play the run. But I believe that if they can dictate the game with the guy that left Pittsburgh, he was there before he left Pittsburgh and came back, LeGarrette Blount. If they can dictate the pace with LeGarrette Blount, then you nullify the Legion of Boom in the back. And then also pivotal is if Cam Chancellor is coming down the box, then that's going to give, I think, a lot of free releases for Rob Gronkowski going down the middle.
Right.
I think that's a difference in this game as well. I honestly don't think that they have enough to stop what Patriots can do, because you can see what I really like about their offense. Week to week, they can change their identity. 1 week it's Tom throwing 30 passes, Gronk, Julian Edelman, even Brandon LaFell running well. Another when your secondary may be strong, you have a weak. Take for instance, in the regular season matchup with the Indianapolis Colts, they have a very weak front seven. They just give the ball to Garrett Blount, put in an extra lineman, an extra tight end, and said we're gonna run it. They knew they were running, they couldn't stop.
Yeah.
That versatility is going to be too much to handle. I honestly think LeGarrette Blount and Rob Gronkowski are going to have big games, and that's going to be different in this game. I predict New England by at least 2 touchdowns this game.
Okay, no problem. Well, Marc, give me the Seahawks. What do you think defensively they need to do to stop?
Well, the defense is the defense. We know what it is. They ain't no more that can be said. That being said, just one more to say, they got to be able to contain Gronk and Blount, because that is the corners is the corners. Sherman, as he says, you don't train with a third receiver. Sorry, not Mario. But
I think the word was mediocre.
Mediocre. Mediocre. But I think it's gonna come down to containing Gronk more so than Blount, because Gronk is a big, fast, agile tight end that has very good hands.
Right.
And I know that he's kind of shaking off that injury bug. He and Tom seem to be having that chemistry. So it's going to be how they play Blount. On offense now, Russell Wilson cannot be that Russell Wilson that was playing against Green Bay. Because 4 turnovers against the Patriots, you're going to be treated like a Colts. You're going to get a spanking and you're going to go home.
Right, that's not
so. I think my thing about Russell Wilson, and this is not to again make it light of him or anything, he's a very good quarterback. But I think when they won the Super Bowl last year, he was more of a game manager. He didn't try to outdo himself, and I think that's what happened because he got down early against Green Bay, so he was forced. Right. If they could get B Smooth going early, let him settle, get couple runs, like 2.
Try to get him free early.
Get him free early, get a couple 5-yard runs here.
I think the key is to avoid any third and longs.
Right.
You have to avoid that. You go get them in short, you go third,
he doesn't have, once he doesn't try to have to go for that early long, like if he get a little 5-yard, 2-yard, 4-yard, that pick at it, I think then he can get his rhythm, and that's when he gets his confidence. Because then if you get Marshawn going, then you have the play action. And then onto the play action, he can also scramble. So once they can get beast mode going early, and the cornerbacks and the defense can contain Gronk, I think they have a very good chance of repeating. Also, again, I'm not sure it's going to be the same effect, but their 12 man is probably going to travel and it's probably going to have somewhat of a say. I don't think it's going to affect Brady the same way it affected Peyton last year, because honestly Peyton looked shook last year, and I think I was surprised. But that 12 man is going to be real. And
you think so? In Arizona of all places, which is obviously an NFC rival.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. They travel much like your Packers, and as much as is the same rival. Once they get in there and they start keeping noise, I think I'm gonna give it to the Seahawks. Just because they really
give me a score. Justin committed to
I want to see the Seahawks win because it's hard to repeat. It's hard to repeat. And if I'm not mistaken, if they repeat, they will be the first team to repeat since the same Patriots that were playing.
Yeah.
So I would like them. I'm gonna give them a touchdown. I'm gonna get Seattle's gonna win by a touchdown.
Seattle by a touchdown. England by 2.
By 2 scores. And what also key this game. That Denver game, I do not subscribe to Skip Bayless, but he did say one thing that really made sense. Early in that Super Bowl last year, Cam Chancellor delivered a hit on one of Thomas' boys, and it was almost like, we just went into a shell.
We ain't know about this already in the head.
However, when you look at the type of players that New England has going across the middle, Julian Edelman, is as tough as nails. Like,
Yeah.
For a small man, he takes punishment,
Yeah.
gets up, goes again, like throws, touch the ball, over the reference, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you know
Gronk.
Gronk was Gronk.
So, and I think if Gronk has to release and it's not stay in the box to block for Lagarde, like, then that takes Cam Chancellor out of the equation. And if you take Cam Chancellor out of the midfield, geez, all right.
Yeah.
Well, Julian Edelman is going to have a
But
field
he
day.
got yours.
He will have a field day. And I mean, this is don't joke. I'm not belittling Seattle secondary or Seattle defensive work, because that Seattle defense is real.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a lot of that is, due to the big hitting of Cam Chancellor.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that if he has to match up, because they don't have a player that can match up with him outside of Cam Chancellor. You cannot put Earl Thomas to Marc because Earl Thomas is very, very small compared to Gronk. So the only one they can see going, unless they play some sort of zone, is Cam Chancellor. But you take Cam Chancellor out of that middle, if Gronk has to go down the field, Julian Edelman is going to make a living in those little short yards, little crossing routes, little hitch and goes.
And Tom loves those crossing routes.
Those little crossing, little hitch and goes and stuff. So I'm telling you, they're gonna have a hard time doing that.
All right. Well, let me wrap it up. As I said, let me have some fun before we go. Now, one thing we like to look forward to the Super Bowl are the ads.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll be looking forward to.
Come on.
Come on, dog.
At least come on. You're a lot closer than I am.
Justin said the other day you wish you didn't make the playoffs instead of this. Like almost.
I can understand that.
It hurt though, because that was devastating. But let's talk briefly. Let me talk about the odds. I mean,
favorite Super Bowl odds? I honestly can't sit down and remember
anything from
Crabby
Turn.
Oh yeah,
Crabby Turn, and I think
what
the
phone ad was that?
Spring.
It was a spring. Well, my phone has
Or you might tell them
Credit
which
Reach
one.
My Wallet. Yep.
Oh,
I think the Eminem ads for me it'd be personally hilarious.
There was one, but like when the guy didn't want to jump off the plane skydiving, and somebody threw.
Oh yeah.
And somebody run past.
Oh yeah.
The cameraman jumped past it to get him.
Also, there's the Doritos ad from I think a couple years ago.
Time Machine.
Not the Time Machine.
That was hilarious.
Really little baby slap. That
was years ago. 5, 6, 7 years
hilarious.
ago. Don't mess with my mama.
Don't mess with the thing. Don't mess with my mama. Man slap.
Talk about the babies. What has become of those E-Trade babies?
No, those got played out though. After a while, after a while they were.
You forgot in March. I'm seeing you, seeing him, seeing you.
Yeah, and then they added more babies.
I think the adding more babies is ridiculous.
Yeah,
but him, he was cool.
Right. So anyhow, should be a fun Sunday.
It should be.
It should be a fun Sunday. I mean, none of our teams are playing. I didn't want to talk about it.